Yemen, a nation nestled on the Arabian Peninsula's southwestern edge, has been embroiled in a devastating civil war for years. The conflict, multifaceted and fueled by a complex web of internal divisions and external influences, escalated dramatically in 2014. This marked the rise of the Houthis, a Zaidi Shia Muslim group, who seized control of the Yemeni capital, Sanaa. The Houthis, hailing from the country's north, had long opposed the Yemeni government. They accused the government of corruption and marginalization. Feeling politically and economically sidelined, the Houthis took up arms, their rebellion evolving into a full-blown conflict. The Houthis advance across Yemen, capturing key cities and provinces, set the stage for a direct confrontation with a global superpower, the United States. The U.S., with its long-standing interests in the region and commitment to regional stability, found itself drawn into the Yemeni quagmire. The conflict in Yemen, far from being a localized struggle, became a microcosm of broader geopolitical tensions. The Houthis, with their alleged ties to Iran, were perceived as a threat to U.S. interests and allies in the region, particularly Saudi Arabia. The stage was set for a protracted and bloody conflict. In response to what it perceived as a growing threat, the Trump administration launched Operation Rough Rider in early 2025. This military intervention, the largest and most expensive of Trump's presidency, aimed to cripple the Houthis' military capabilities and force them into submission. Operation Rough Rider, a testament to the U.S. military's technological might, involved a relentless aerial bombardment of Houthi targets. Aircraft carriers stationed in the Arabian Sea launched wave after wave of airstrikes targeting weapons depots, command centers, and critical infrastructure. The U.S. military, utilizing its full arsenal of advanced weaponry, deployed drones, stealth bombers, and long-range missiles. The objective was clear: to degrade the Houthis' ability to wage war and project power. The Trump administration, confident in its military superiority, believed that a decisive show of force would bring the Houthis to the negotiating table. However, the conflict in Yemen, deeply rooted in historical grievances and fueled by regional rivalries, proved far more complex than initially anticipated. After 7.5 weeks of relentless bombing, the Trump administration announced a ceasefire with the Houthis on May 6, 2025. This unexpected development, brokered by Oman, marked a significant turning point in the conflict. But it also raised questions about the effectiveness of the U.S. intervention. The ceasefire agreement, while halting the immediate violence, did not address the underlying issues fueling the conflict. It primarily focused on a mutual agreement between the U.S. and the Houthis to cease targeting each other. This left the door open for the Houthis to continue their fight against the Yemeni government. The Trump administration, facing mounting pressure from both domestic and international actors, presented the ceasefire as a victory. They argued that the operation had successfully degraded the Houthis' capabilities and paved the way for a negotiated settlement. However, critics argued that the ceasefire represented a tacit acknowledgement of the U.S.'s inability to achieve its objectives militarily. They pointed to the Houthis' continued control of Sanaa and their ongoing attacks against Saudi Arabia as evidence of the operation's limited success. The ceasefire, while offering a respite from the violence, did little to resolve the underlying issues at the heart of the conflict. The Houthis, despite facing the full brunt of the U.S. military's firepower, emerged from the ceasefire in a surprisingly strong position. They had not only withstood the assault, but had also managed to inflict symbolic losses on their adversary. Throughout the bombing campaign, the Houthis maintained a defiant stance. They showcased their ability to shoot down U.S. drones, a testament to their evolving air defense capabilities. This propaganda victory, amplified through their media outlets, served to bolster their image as a formidable force resisting foreign intervention. The Houthis, deeply embedded within Yemen's complex social fabric, benefited from a decentralized command structure and a willingness to engage in unconventional warfare. This allowed them to absorb the initial shock of the U.S. intervention and adapt their tactics accordingly. The ceasefire, from the Houthi perspective, represented a victory against a superpower. They had not only survived, but it also exposed the limitations of U.S. military might in the face of determined resistance. This emboldened the group, reinforcing their belief in their ability to shape the country's future on their own terms. Section 5. The shifting sands of U.S. foreign policy. The decision to engage in a full-scale military intervention in Yemen, followed by an abrupt ceasefire, highlighted the shifting sands of U.S. foreign policy under the Trump administration. It reflected a blend of hawkish impulses and a growing reluctance to engage in protracted foreign entanglements. The Trump administration, known for its America First approach to foreign policy, initially saw the intervention in Yemen as a necessary step to protect U.S. interests in the region. They viewed the Houthis, with their alleged ties to Iran, as a direct threat to regional stability and a challenge to U.S. hegemony. However, the prolonged nature of the conflict, coupled with the mounting costs and the risk of entanglement in another forever war, led to a reassessment within the administration. The ceasefire in many ways reflected a pragmatic recognition of the limits of U.S. military power in achieving complex political objectives. The Biden administration, which had initiated airstrikes against the Houthis in 2024 in response to attacks on shipping in the Red Sea, found itself inheriting a complex and intractable conflict. The ceasefire agreement, while providing a temporary reprieve, did not address the underlying factors driving the conflict, leaving the door open for future escalations. Section 6. A History of Resilience, the Houthis' Path to Endurance. The Houthis' ability to withstand a U.S. military intervention stemmed not only from their military capabilities but also from their deep roots in Yemeni society and their history of resilience. Their ideology, a blend of political and religious doctrines, provided a powerful motivating force. The Houthis, followers of the Zaidi sect of Shia Islam, drew strength from their belief in the concept of divine right to rule. This belief, coupled with their long history of resisting what they perceived as external aggression, fueled their determination to fight. Furthermore, the Houthis' adeptness at navigating Yemen's complex tribal dynamics allowed them to garner support from various segments of society. Their ability to portray themselves as champions of the marginalized resonated with many Yemenis who felt neglected by the central government. The Houthis' resilience also stemmed from their ability to adapt and learn from past conflicts. Their experiences battling the Yemeni government for years honed their military skills and instilled in them a deep understanding of the country's challenging terrain. This experience proved invaluable in their fight against a technologically superior adversary. Section 7. The Shadow of Iran, External Influence and Regional Implications. The conflict in Yemen, while primarily driven by internal dynamics, has become increasingly enmeshed in broader regional power struggles. The Houthis, often labeled as Iranian proxies, have benefited from Tehran's support, further complicating the situation. Iran, seeking to expand its influence in the region and counter Saudi Arabia's dominance, has provided the Houthis with varying levels of financial, military and logistical support. This support, while difficult to quantify, has undoubtedly played a role in bolstering the Houthis' capabilities. The Houthis' alleged ties to Iran have been a major point of contention for the U.S. and its allies in the region, particularly Saudi Arabia. The Saudis, viewing the Houthis as an Iranian proxy force on their southern border, have intervened militarily in Yemen, further internationalizing the conflict. The involvement of external actors like Iran and Saudi Arabia has exacerbated the humanitarian crisis in Yemen, turning the country into a battleground for regional power plays. The ceasefire, while offering a glimmer of hope, does little to address the complex web of external influences fueling the conflict. Section 8. Charting a path forward, navigating the uncertain terrain. The ceasefire in Yemen, while fragile, offers a window of opportunity to work towards a negotiated settlement. However, achieving a lasting peace will require addressing the root causes of the conflict and navigating the complex web of internal and external interests. A sustainable solution to the conflict must prioritize a Yemeni-led peace process. This process should include all relevant stakeholders, including the Houthis, the internationally recognized Yemeni government, and representatives from various political factions. The international community, particularly the UN Security Council, should play a proactive role in facilitating dialogue, mediating disputes, and enforcing any agreements reached. This will require overcoming existing divisions within the Security Council and ensuring that all parties are committed to a peaceful resolution. Addressing the humanitarian crisis in Yemen must be an immediate priority. The international community should provide substantial aid and support to alleviate the suffering of the Yemeni people. This includes providing food, water, medical supplies, and other essential goods and services. Section 9. A Fragile Peace, Lingering Concerns and Potential Pitfalls. The ceasefire in Yemen, while a positive step, remains precarious. Several challenges and potential pitfalls could unravel the fragile peace and plunge the country back into chaos. The Houthis, emboldened by their perceived victory against the U.S., may be reluctant to make concessions in any future negotiations. They may seek to exploit the ceasefire to consolidate their control over territory and strengthen their position. The internationally recognized Yemeni government, weakened by years of conflict and internal divisions, may struggle to assert its authority or effectively participate in negotiations. This could undermine the legitimacy of any peace process. The continued involvement of external actors, particularly Iran and Saudi Arabia, could further complicate efforts to reach a settlement. Their competing interests and agendas risk turning Yemen into a proxy battleground, jeopardizing the prospects for peace. The situation in Yemen remains fluid and unpredictable. While the ceasefire offers a glimmer of hope, the path towards a lasting peace is fraught with challenges. Addressing the root causes of the conflict, fostering dialogue among all parties, and mitigating the influence of external actors will be crucial to ending the suffering of the Yemeni people and restoring stability to this war-torn nation.